Getting close.
I know your work's crazy. Our work is really crazy right now. Talk to the guy. Can they do every time?
Then to talk to them, find out. So,
Want me to call him?
get there. It's not bad. There we go.
Please stand for the pledge.
I need.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Have a seat.
Nothing's.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clausen.
Here.
Commissioner Cox.
Here.
Commissioner Graven. Here. Commissioner Phipps. Mayor Hall.
Here. Consent agenda. Items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. No separate discussion of these items will occur unless a council member requests the item to be removed from the consent agenda. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it will be reconsidered elsewhere on the agenda for this meeting. Prior to asking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, the mayor will ask if anyone desires to remove an item from the consent agenda for public discussion. Would anybody like to remove any items? Hearing none, I moved to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May the 7th, 2024, and bills and payroll for the first half of May 2024. Can I have a second to that motion?
So moved.
Mr. Cox, and roll call.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven. Yes. Mayor Hall.
Yes. Presentations, petitions, and communications. This portion of the city council meeting is reserved for persons who desire to address the council. The Illinois Opens Meetings Act mandates that the city council may not take action on comments received on matters that have not been identified on this agenda, but the council may direct staff to address the topic or refer the matter for action on the agenda for another meeting. Persons addressing the council are requested to limit the presentation to 3 minutes and to avoid repetitious comments. We'd also ask you state your name and address for the record as well as stand when speaking. Other than the solar panel, anybody else like to make any comments or any questions? Anybody online? Anybody have any comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll get into the presentation. I'll turn it over to you, Kyle, and do introductions or whatever you want to do.
All right, this time I'll turn this over to Derek Bartlett with Commercial Electric, and they can give us a little slideshow here. Should be, there you go.
Derek, you will have people that will want to listen to you from the mic, so if you kind of,
It should pick you up pretty good.
yeah, okay.
All right, so I'm going to pass these out real fast. Back Shaw guys, print it off 10.
That's smart.
Thank you. We can share.
That's fine. I'll listen.
Yeah, you got that. Oh, good. Yeah, me.
There you
Anybody else want one?
Well, we're good. One for Phipps.
Yeah. Yeah, leave one on the table there. We can give it to Commissioner Phipps.
Thank you.
Appreciate you giving us the opportunity to present today. Let's first off, there's a teams, myself, Derek Bartlett, I'm commercial electric, and estimator project manager. I have Greg Swanson right here with REU, who's going to talk to you about the financing on this side of it. Megan Odell is our president of the company. She's here along with Maren, who's our designer and project manager. This project we brought in front of Kyle a few weeks back. There's a unique opportunity here to put a system in to support the wastewater treatment plant at no cost to the city. And that's what we want to present today. I'd like to first talk about the location. I'm going to probably talk more about location and where this is at and how this is going to affect what the location I guess worked out of the plant and let me come out and speak more on the design side. It'd be great to get to talk towards the end about the finance. The location shows. The location we chose sits right behind the lagoon. This is an area that doesn't get used for anything other than just loose materials. It's going to have like 0 to no impact to the facility. It's kind of tucked back in the corner. It also allows us to tie in the facility without going through the front. So it's a big add or big plus for us to be able to be back in this corner. Other than that,
I was like, most of the area that was used there was a borrow pit. I mean, when they dug out that pond, all the dirt was stored in that area, and we've been giving away and selling dirt for years off that section. So that is definitely an area that is not used and not planned for any design of any future functionality of the sewer plant at this time.
luckily, with the increase in technology, the panels are becoming more and more efficient, and you're able to get the same output, if not more output, with fewer panels. So we're able to get the size down smaller and smaller, without taking up acres and acres and acres of usable farmland. Small size. And to speak on that more, I'd like to bring you out here. Talk about that side of it. He helped put the design together.
Sure. Yeah, so the primary goal here was to design a system that would offset 95% of the wastewater treatment plant's energy usage. And, obvious benefits of that are a lot of dollars back into your operations and maintenance budget, particularly your capital budget. We were able to pick a location on site that, like Derek said, is tucked away in the back corner. We've only been used for spoils, stockpiling, things like that. We were able to leave valuable real estate on the north side of the facility for future expansion projects. Those come about. Other things, Marshall Electric is putting this whole design together. We will be doing the installation, and we'll obviously be here to support and do any maintenance as required. Are there any questions about the layout, output from the system?
Just some general questions about the financing. There's really not a cost for us. It's,
We will get into that. We'll let Greg talk
Okay.
about that.
all right.
So if there's no questions about the.
Okay, we'll wait.
Greg, step up and talk about that. Yeah. You will share.
Yeah, I do want to at least mention this, like I said, Greg's good with financing side, that's. Yeah. What I want to show here is what you're looking at currently is Ameren's, hosting map. So what Ameren does is they go out and as you put in applications for solar install, their hosting map is going to tell you how much capacity they have on the current, grid in your area. Luckily for us, with the wastewater treatment plant, you have two incoming lines, primary and secondary. As you can see in the green, that small box right here to be the plant. So that incoming line has the capacity for us to put some energy back out onto the grid, which is extremely important because the way these systems work, during the sunny days, if your energy usage is not high, you're driving energy out on the grid. During the cloudy days when your energy usage may be high, you're bringing energy back off the grid, but there's a balance between those two numbers. You push out, you bring energy back in. At the end of the day, you're hoping to go net zero with your energy. So they're going to credit you 1-for-1. So whatever you pay to bring energy in, they're going to pay you to send it back out. So it's just a balance of the book, essentially. We can talk about numbers. I'm going to go right into Greg. Yeah, sure.
Thank you all for having me. Like they were saying, my name is Greg Swanton with a solar energy developer out of Chicago. As Mayor Paul said, so you can not hold that against me. But
I was teasing.
yeah, that's usually the joke I tell, but you to it. Regardless, a little bit on new energy evolution, I'm going to dive right into the Illinois Solar for All program. It's the solar program we will be using to deliver this great project to you. And of course, get into details, any questions you have. So a little bit about renewable energy evolution very quickly. As you can see, we have a lot of really great experience with not only water treatment plants, having completed one in Taylorville, Illinois, just southeast of Springfield. We are currently about to break ground in the next few weeks at the Charleston wastewater treatment plant under a similar arrangement. And you can see, and 90% of our work is in Illinois. We've done a bit of work in Michigan as well, but a lot of experience in this area. Okay, so Illinois Solar for All is a state program in which we will be using once again to deliver the system to you guys. So very quickly, the Illinois Solar for All program is a state incentive program that uses something called renewable energy credits in order to incentivize solar in the state of Illinois. For Illinois Solar for All, it is a very lucrative program. However, as you can see in front of you and on the screen, you have to hit very particular characteristics in order to qualify. One being that the off-taker must be a nonprofit or a government entity in Illinois. They must be located in an income eligible or environmental justice community. Mattoon is in an income eligible community. I can answer more questions about that if you like. The energy off-taker must save at least 50% on the power produced by the solar array. And that is not negotiable. So that is on us to make sure that it is being delivered to the city at least 50% off. You guys are going to be doing considerably better than that, as you'll see in the next slides. None of the installation costs for the solar array is entirely off-taker. That is zero. That's no sense. So they will not let us in the program period. That is a state regulation. So that's very good for you, and of course makes things easy for us. The off-taker must be the critical service provider. A water treatment plant is most definitely a critical service provider. And again, please interrupt me or stop. Just to sort of a little more detailed on this, everything in blue is going to be considered eligible for Illinois Solar for All. The state of Illinois uses census data to determine which are eligible. As you can see on the right, the water treatment plant definitely falls into a blue area. So again, it makes it pretty hospitable to see who called from. Okay, now these are before any questions on any of that before I dive into the actual rules. These are the particulars on the financials themselves. So it would be a 1.7 megawatt AC solar array system. For perspective, that's about 95% of what the water treatment plant currently uses. It would be third-party investor owned for the first 6 years. Then during that time for operations and maintenance, the third-party owner would be responsible for all those things. Then after year 6, it would be donated to the city at no cost, and then the city would take on ownership of that. Now, the great thing that you guys have here is, I mean, the costs, we can go into some of the costing, it's not significant, but you have a great company, and Mattoon, that is only going to install it, but they have the wherewithal to help you with it afterwards. So, and then we built in all of the maintenance costs into savings. So there's no additional there. So you guys have a great source there already. The power purchase agreement price for the first 6 years only would be 3 cents per kilowatt hour with a small escalation, which is 1.7%. To give you some perspective, it is generally understood that the utility will raise by about 2.5% a year. So you're actually saving more money as you go. Now, we all know that the utility doesn't necessarily raise it every year, but what they do is they wait 3 years and then they raise it 10%. And they wait 5 years and then they raise it 15% or whatever. So we've annualized it and made sure that the escalator is less than what you might expect from the utility. The current, what we call all-in rate that the are currently paying at the water treatment plant is 8.7 cents per kilowatt hour. We were pretty conservative with that number, making sure we got rid of any fees that we can affect, which are, again, not significant, but nonetheless want to be conservative. What does this result in? It results in a 65% savings for the first 6 years and a 97% savings every year after that on the power produced. The reason why it's 97% after 6 years is that you're obviously not charging yourself with power. So the only thing you're going to have to worry about is the 3% cost of maintenance, and I would consider that to be very conservative because there's going to be a lot of years that beyond routine maintenance and routine checks, there won't be really much to Overall, the solar array results in a 63% savings on your overall electric bill. So approximately 134,000 saved in the first year, with over 5.3 million for the 25-year life of the system. So it's a pretty good deal. And there's nothing that says that if you didn't do better than want to, or whoever makes the decision at that time, couldn't choose to keep the array by simply replacing panels.
How realistic is the 25-year life? It seems like a long time with the way technology is changing. I mean, do you really think we'll keep that equipment 25 years?
And so let me say this, the panels have 20-year warranties, right? So they will continue to perform for that long by manufacturer warranty. Now, after year 6, if the city were to choose, yes, you could upgrade the panels and they would probably be a little bit more efficient at that time. But the panels are going to hold up very well. We usually estimate about 0.5% they lose of their potential producing power every year. So even after 20 years, they'll be pretty efficient. So I mean, that would be a decision that the city could take at that time.
So do you have an idea after the 6 years, if I'm understanding right, that the city then takes over maintenance? Do you have an idea of what an annual maintenance cost is?
So, yes, I can give you that exact number, but what I will tell you is that we have built that into the savings. I don't have that exact number in my mind. We usually save for systems of this size, we save probably $70,000 a year is what we recommend as far as, well, obviously the city will determine how they best want to do this, but what we usually say is if you wanted to take $7,000 aside and put it somewhere else, so you know that's what you're using that for, or you can just sort of know in your head that might be what it costs. It's very possible that some years it won't cost that much, but it just won't be. I can make sure I give you guys an exact number.
But again, those numbers are built in
Correct.
to the savings that we've got.
Correct.
Indeed, we may have out-of-pocket expenses, but
Right.
we're saving the amount you say that we are.
And I think, thank you for mentioning, I have built in not only the maintenance costs, but I have sort of throttled them just to be very conservative. A lot of our arrays have been overproducing the power that we're expecting them to produce, which leads to more savings. So I would just be clear, I would consider those to be conservative. And of course, we can start this.
How do we go about verifying those savings numbers? Who verifies those? How do we, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, how do we get those numbers to verify that we are actually saving the 5.3 million over 25?
So that's a great question. So right now, there's one bill coming from the facility, right? That's how the bill is paid. It comes in as one bill. What would happen if you were to agree to it is that you would get a separate bill from the third-party owner that is significantly less for the first 6 years. You could verify the delta very easily that way on what you're paying every year, right, using that. And then also, we're happy to send you a pro forma that we put together. On top of it, the state of Illinois requires that we are what's called the approved vendor. So they hold us accountable for what we say the system is. And if we don't reach that, then there are ramifications that are not good. So there's a lot of incentive to make sure. So does that answer your question?
It does, thank you. Yeah.
And they do, I usually sort of have to, the state of Illinois doesn't do everything well. They've really done a good job with this program. Yeah.
Actually, let me
Yeah.
go a little bit further then.
Yeah.
So do you automatically provide that pro forma on an annual basis? Do we have to request it? What, how,
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's an arrangement we could provide it for you on a regular basis if you'd like. It's gonna be weird. If you would want, and I imagine you would, we can show you our initial pro forma right now, so you can take a look at it. But yeah, if you guys would like to see that, then what you're gonna get is so right, say, please, you'll get an invoice of what the charge is offering. Every month or every quarter. So yeah, the short answer is yes.
Okay.
And we'll have the data from our bills
Yeah.
every month.
okay.
Just a minute, how is the maintenance cost built into your savings?
So that's actually a great question. So the money that is the small, let me say that again, the small PPA rate that is charged with 3 cents per kilowatt hour, third-party owner is just simply a lot of times using that revenue to maintain the system for the first 6 years. So that's how it's built in. That's how it's built in for the first 6 years in that sense. Now, after that, there could be a chance that a bird needs to be replaced after 15 years or something like that. What we recommend is that the owner at the time of replacement after 15 years is going to be the city. And you will be able to take the collateral that the state keeps for the first 15 years and then gives it back to the owner. You can take that money and do any replacement that you need to do. Now that collateral is also not factored into that savings as well. So does that answer your question as far as how it's factored? I think the full form might answer a lot of questions that you have on that front. What we do is basically we say, okay, we expect it to be $8,000 a year in maintenance. Let's subtract that from the savings. Right. And then that's how we end up with it.
So the city will own it after 6 years?
Correct. Yes. And you will just know or expect that there will be a number that it will cost. Likely it'll be them coming out once every quarter, once every year, whatever you decide to do routine checks of the array, for example, the whole thing.
Yeah. I would like to speak on the maintenance, because we do maintain the large array for U of I up in Champaign. The maintenance is very limited. There's no moving parts on this. It's not like we're talking about a wind turbine. There's moving parts that can grease, things like that. These are panels that sit on a 30-degree fixed tilt array. They don't move. Nothing on this entire system moves at all. There's nothing grease, nothing. They work on. They panels themselves, like 20, 25-year warranty on them. The inverters, there are only 4 of them on the project. So the inverters, there's very few inverters that could fail. And again, those inverters are warranted for 10, 15 years. They're like, I want to really point out that there are no moving parts of this. It really just sits there and extends. Maintenance wise, I can say for a fact, I've had one on my house since 2017 and haven't touched it. I'm going to go out there and hit the panels with the garden hose to get the dust off of them. It just sits there and makes energy. So
who's responsible for water damage? You know,
right.
that type of things is.
Yeah, so a lot of times, a lot of that ends up being insurance for that.
Is there no cost for?
So there'd be some more cost for us putting it on our insurance, yes.
Now, that all being said, these things have been get hit with hail and they're still okay. They're maybe the special.
We've got 20 acres.
Oh, no, okay. And at that point, that would be, we actually had an array that we did in Kankakee where you may, I would say it was 4 or 5 months ago, there were some tornadoes up there and we did have to make a plan. And they put it out and replaced it. It was fine. I mean, these things are very hardy. Anything short of softball size hail, but then I would say, of course, if you're getting hail that size, a lot of times there are other issues than we got the solar rate. Yeah.
Do we own or do we insure it the first 6 years or does the, okay.
I want to make just a quick comment. So the solar campus for lift, First Electric had the opportunity to do the design and the install on that. Do you guys remember when the 80, 90 mile an hour straight winds came through? The canopy was up at that time and I watched those panels move up and down and not one of them got damaged. So they can take a beating. I've had. Oh man, we did a project for Rural King. Those panels been up there just trying to burn it. Casey Summers is another one that's been sitting there. E-Bowls over in Charleston is another one. They've seen some pretty nasty weather and just turn. So.
Eric, is there any concern that, as Ethan would know, this area is in a floodplain down there? Does that affect how this is installed? And is there any issues being in a flood?
Speak to the permitting.
Yeah. I'll let Ethan speak to the design because he took that in.
Okay.
Yeah,
he knows.
Yeah, sure. So we're going to incorporate the 100-year floodplain into the design and make sure we're above that.
Okay.
And all the inverters and,
All the inverters would be above that, the array would be above that, so.
And permitting side, part of our process is going to be Fish and Wildlife floodplain analysis, things of that nature. In every project we've done, we have done some in floodplains. We did one in Pontiac, we did one in Collinsville. It never stops the project. All it does is we have to account for things that we might not have to otherwise. I have the inverter, sometimes I have panels, sometimes a couple other things just to, so the short answer is yes, we'll have to consider it, but it doesn't just stop it. It just means we have to. Good question.
And when did, I see the Taylorville wastewater treatment plant, when did that? Oh,
It become operational 2 years ago.
2 years ago? Okay. And then just one final question.
Yeah.
If, and this facility out there, this time next year, 75% of the buildings are going to be 50 years and older. So down the road, if we were to ever, there's no plans at this time, but if we were to finance and build a new wastewater treatment plant that may take 4 years to bond, finance, et cetera, what would happen if we did that? What would happen to this project? Because basically the other system we would not be using. It's kind of a long hypothetical there.
So I think because I'm not up here. I think if I answer your question, just to make sure I understand, the idea would be that you would stay on site and then do some work there. Is that the idea? Is that
Build new
Yeah.
north of there, right? Or
North of it.
we would just build new east of this location.
the idea would be that you have to include the array in the bonds. So Taylorville actually had to do something similar with, they rebuilt their facility and then we came in afterwards and we had to, this is getting a little in the weeds, so I won't, if you'd like me to, it was sort of my answer to that question, is that we had to make sure that legally there was, this is the request of the attorney in Taylorville, that there was a separation between the array and the facility, which is something we can definitely do here if that's what you guys need to do. But again, after 6 years, it's going to be yours anyway, then you could obviously fashion how that's a great question. That's something we got to get. So
I don't think he answered the question though, on understanding what Jim, I think, is asking is, if we redesign, will it still be utilizable?
That's, yeah, where I'm going.
no, 100%, yes, it could be because this
Should
rate.
they move the current building somewhere else on the property?
So there is, this will be in the PPA. So the first answer to your question is the array will be connected to the grid. So in theory, even if the building were to be shut down for a certain amount of time, the power could go to the grid. Now, if there was completely moving of the facility, then we would have to consider, the state allows us some leeway to relocate the array. That's what's needed to a different place. The state is only really going to be following any of this for about 15 years. And then after that, they kind of go, we don't need to be considered anymore. So the short answer is we could, I mean, this is again, kind of down the line, but we could move the array if that's what's needed.
Right.
We wouldn't need to, on the plans that we've seen so far, this is out of the way of everything. We would just have to change the piping conduits from the existing building to the new building.
And also the state allows us quite a bit of leeway. They do what 3-year rolling averages of the power. So even if for instance, and I don't know when this would occur, but even if you had to say shut down the array for a week while there was construction, that's not going to be a problem from the state standpoint. So.
I have a question. This application for us seems like a very good fit, particularly for us. And it seems like a no-brainer. But let me ask you this question. Based on what you know about our application, what's your biggest concern? If you were us, what's the biggest concern you have? Where's the risk factors?
The two risk factors for just having the array on the land generally, or just using it, or?
No, for the whole project. If based on what you know about us and what you're recommending for us, what is the biggest risk that we have?
That's a really good question. I mean, to be honest, first I'll give you the answer you don't want, then I'll give you the answer you do want. There aren't a whole lot of risks to these projects because of what the state incentives are, and they're very protective of the city. That being said, the biggest risk that I would say cities have is maintenance and understanding the costs. That being said, you have a partner here in Mattoon who knows how this works. And you have a developer in us who's going to have an open book and show you what that looks like. And that's why for you, that will not be an issue, if that makes sense.
So what if the state discontinues the incentives?
They are guaranteed, so they are guaranteed to continue to have these incentives for new systems until 2033. So there's 10 years of full funding. That being said, since, let's just say you guys were to decide to do this and do it now, you would have, you would be fully guaranteed even beyond that date, because that's just when they'll stop issuing the recs, the renewable energy permits, so that makes sense. The other part of this that's really nice is all the incentives for the program coming year one. So everything comes forward from a financial standpoint for the developer and everyone. No risk of the state, quote unquote, not paying after the first year. So what was really nice about the latest SEQA Act is that it guaranteed a lot of these programs. Previous to that, a lot of questions like yours were coming up. How do I know this is going to continue? They would now financially get that.
I would guess our biggest liability is 20 years, 25 years from now, we decide we don't want to replace the system. We have to get rid of the panels. What kind of environmental is going to be on the panels, getting rid of it? I mean, that's really the biggest probably liability we have.
I realize that we're not on the hook for the insurance for 6 years, but do you have any idea, or can you find out what our insurance costs? Like I said, I know 6 years from now it's going to be a lot different than it is now, but what additional cost it's going to cost for us to insure them?
Yeah, I mean,
Surely they have an idea now, 5,000 a year, 10,000.
I'm trying to think, we added $12 million of building construction last year and ours went up
80,000 maybe.
80,000. Yeah, 80 to $100,000. Our insurance went up by adding $12 million of value to buildings and property. So, 4 million is going to be a third of that. So we'll see $33,000 a year, say, or increase in insurance, but hopefully we're saving a lot more than that in the electrical costs.
Yeah, and every insurance company, but I've heard it less than that, and I've heard it about there. So that's something we can look at. Just as far as the decommissioning go, we were happy to provide decommissioning plan as well as a part of our proposal. We would like to think that in 20 years, since there already are companies that are charging little to nothing to remove these systems, but what they do is they take the material and then they sell it or reuse it. In 20 years, with the growing of solar, that cost will be minimal at that time. I don't like to promise things that haven't happened yet, but that is something that can occur. We can work, have the way to get the information in your insurance company. That's something we can do.
Is there something maybe we could, because there's a lot of positives in this plan, this project, but is there maybe something that we could learn from this at the wastewater treatment plant that may not be a state program or with state incentives, but maybe we could learn some things? Is there opportunities for
Others.
for other
Yeah, unfortunately,
areas in the city that we could?
Unfortunately, our water plant is on Coles Moultrie. Coles Moultrie doesn't have this program. Same type. They have a program where they can help, but your credits that you get by putting power back on the grid have to be used the next month, and that's it. Anything that's not used the next month is lost. So it's nowhere near as good as this program. But there's people out there trying to get the co-ops to have to do a program similar to this as well.
So we currently, on solar panel or solar companies, we require a decommissioning bond.
Yes, on solar farms.
So how are we different than them?
So, I mean, it's not by state law we have to, like it is on solar farms, but we would probably want to do something like that.
And we provide decommission. That is something that is pretty standard on solar rates as well, decommissioning bonds. We will do a construction bond, and then that usually is rolled into a decommissioning bond. As far as I'll answer a question you might have. The reason why the financier can provide such a low PPA rate is between the federal, state, and local incentives. There is very, very attractive from a tax standpoint, from a revenue standpoint. So that's why they can offer such a low purchase agreement. And that is why Illinois Solar for All, if you can find the right application of strength that you guys fit it to a T, it's a very good situation.
And the 3 cents per kilowatt hour is locked in for 6 years.
Correct. It'd be written.
That will never,
Well, slight escalator, 1.7.
oh, the 1.7 escalator.
The PPA in black and white for everyone to see, after year 6.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's right there.
Otherwise, it's good. Yeah. So last piece here, don't treat this as we must do this, but just treat this as a way of just seeing how this could work, this last array. So if you guys were to say, this is fantastic, let's move forward, or let's at least explore it further, the next step would be a non-binding LOI, emphasis on non-binding. The reason we like a non-binding LOI is that it will allow us to start talking to the utility about interconnection. That is, for our purposes, all it's really going to do. If we're a month into that process and you were all to decide that you didn't want to do it, okay, non-binding, we just stop. There's no cost, but there's no commitment. As I said, we'll submit to Ameren for interconnection approval. Then from there, we will submit the project to the Illinois Solar Overall Program, which opens in July. Sort of in parallel, we will be hoping that Ameren gives us interconnection approval. I haven't, I never had an outright denial of an array. Every very, very rare occasions, they might ask us to lower the overall size. A lot of times what ends up happening is we may have to upgrade certain aspects of a transformer, which is paid for by the developer, not the city. So that's part of the utility process there. Hopefully around the same time in July and August, we're entering into a power purchase agreement. That is the document we're referring to that outlines the cost and everything else that goes into this. Then in September, we would expect to hear of approval from the Illinois Solar for All program. Quick aside, it is administered by the Illinois Power Agency, which goes under the Illinois Commerce Commission, which then reports to right. So this is a state program, to be very clear. The Illinois Solar for All program, state and Senate program. And assuming all is going well, and since you guys are fantastic candidates, we wouldn't expect it to go different. REE in conjunction with the budget would then do design, permitting, and begin construction with hopeful completion in May or June. Again, the main thing here is 12 to 14 months from the first time you guys sign that non-binding suit. And the whole thing here that's really good, if you haven't noticed, there's sort of gating items. There's stopping points along the way. If we determine something isn't what we promised you, then we can cover that isn't going to be that. So, question.
Is there any out-of-pocket expenses for some of these items, the letters, the formal agreements, the applications? Do you do that for us?
We pay all the application fees, all the diligence, this kind of, yeah. So again, for the installation, I really can't emphasize this enough. They will not allow us in the program to charge you $1 for installation. So that is all taken care of in our the only item, and please do not take this as you will take your time, and please do. The program will open in July. Sometimes it closes in August when the window closes. Sometimes it doesn't. So we'll just kind of keep that in mind. But again, if it needs to wait, then you can take that 35. That is it.
Any other questions anybody has?
Good presentation.
Thank you guys. All
right. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is new business.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd make a motion to adopt special ordinance number 2024-1903, approving a memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the City of Mattoon and the Mattoon Firefighters Association, Local 691, providing a temporary variance regarding hiring of new probationary firefighters, new cadet, part-time firefighters, and lateral hires, and authorizing the mayor to sign the MOU.
Could I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Clausen, and any questions anybody has?
No, but I'll just say this is the same MOU that we passed a little over a year ago. The only thing different is last time it was for a year only. This time we've done it out to the length of the contract, which would be April of 2026. And that basically, we have 3 retiring. I think we have 5 on the list on hiring. there could be a couple more. So hopefully this list will last to the end of the contract, but just in case it doesn't, and we would have to go out and advertise and test one more time, it would still be being able to hire the EMT basics. So, other than that, that's the only wording change is the dates.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Commissioner Raven?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes. I move to approve council decision request 2024-2482, authorizing the purchase of two 2024 Ford Police Explorer Interceptor squad cars, the amount of $80,198 from Pilsen Auto Center. Can I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Commissioner Graven, and any questions, any comments?
I'll just say that the actual purchase of the two squads is $90,198, but we're getting $5,000 trade-in for the two existing squads, which we used to go out and sell outright. When we'd sell them outright, we'd be lucky to get $5,000. So
They both got over 100,000 miles, don't they? Both of them easily.
You guys are just too hard on those cars.
Okay, ready?
Mayor, I would say I'm not involved in being employed at Pilsen's. I'm not involved in this in any way, but I will be abstaining on the vote.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Raven?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Cox?
Abstain?
Mayor Hall?
Yes. I move to approve council decision request 2024-2483, authorizing a $25,000 disbursement to Coles County Council on Aging, CCCA, to promote the health and welfare services provided by Coles County Council on Aging, requiring a future budget amendment. Can I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Mr. Cox, and any comments? I think people know what we've done in the past. We know we're up above $30,000. At one time, we dropped that way back to $1,000. We've talked about this before. Again, I don't know if you have any questions. There are matching funds, I think, for our $25,000 contribution. They actually get $75,000.
correct.
Right.
So it's certainly a good move, I think, for them. And they do serve our city more than any other city in Coles County. Any other question anybody has or comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Commissioner Raven?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes. I move to approve council decision request 2024-2484, approving the Teams ITS Information Technology Managed Services Agreement in the amount of $61,889.49 for assistance with the high-level infrastructure city network, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. Can I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Cox, any questions anybody has on this?
Can you kind of explain what the difference, I didn't quite understand the MPS versus the system. What are we paying MPS
NPS.
or whatever the thing's gonna?
Sorry, say that again?
In the request, it said that this is replacing what, MPS or something like
We
that?
actually have an agreement with ARC annually that's renewed. Budgetarily, I think that is $35,000 a year annually. So that is what this would be replacing.
So we're doubling, almost doubling what we're paying currently?
Correct.
But we're, yeah,
Most importantly, this will include a vast portion of the fees are software licensing. Namely EDR antivirus that will be able to be managed as well. It's not a co-managed environment.
So we currently paying for that now outside of ART?
yes, and we are going to be doing more of it because insurance is pushing us more and more cyber security constantly. And
Oh,
to be
yeah.
covered with cyber insurance, you have to do a lot more. So we went out last year and priced it with a couple other companies as well. And we had put 90,000 in the budget. And then we had prices from 3 different groups, and this was the cheapest group and the local group. So
So again, we budgeted 90,000, it ended up costing us 61, but still, it is a lot.
It was just confusing the way the thing was written about replacing it, and I just didn't quite understand.
IT is confusing.
Yeah, trust me, we're not even,
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was known that, like, this isn't totally not where it is replacing something. Very least.
okay.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Commissioner Raven?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2024-2485, approving a $3,000 grant by the Tourism Advisory Committee from FY 24-25 Festival Management Bagel Fest funds to the Mattoon YMCA in support of the Run for the Bagel event on July 20th, 2024, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Can I have a second to that?
Second.
Mr. Clausen, any comments anybody wants to make about this? We have several of these to go through. Any questions on this one? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Raven?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2024-2486, approving a $3,000 grant by the Tourism Advisory Committee from FY 24-25 Hotel Motel Tax Funds to the Mattoon YMCA in support of the YMCA Ghouls in the Pool event on October 26th, 2024, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Can I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Clausen, any comments, questions on this? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Commissioner Raven?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2024-2487, approving a $3,760 grant by the Tourism Advisory Committee from FY 24-25 Hotel Motel Tax Funds to the Lake Mattoon Sailing Association in support of the LMSA Y Flyer Riviera Regatta on June 7th through the 9th, 2024, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
I needed a second.
Oh, we didn't get a second? Oh, sorry. Who wants to second that?
Go ahead, Jim.
Second. Is your microphone not working?
Nope.
Okay, now any questions or comments? And now roll call.
All right.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Commissioner Raven?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2024-2488, approving a $12,000 grant by the Tourism Advisory Committee from FY 24-25 Hotel Motel Tax Funds to the Coles County Speedway LLC in support of the Extreme Outlaws Midget Series on May 31st, 2024, and the KKM Challenge Series on September 4th through the 7th, 2024, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
And can we have a second on that?
Second.
Commissioner Clausen, and any comments, questions on this one? Roll call.
Commissioner Raven?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes.
Okay, last one, you guys, so get ready. Motion to approve council decision request 2024-2489, approving a $10,000 grant by the Tourism Advisory Committee from FY 24-25 Hotel Motel Tax Funds to the Mattoon Hitmen in support of the Hitmen 15U Spring Classic on June 21st through the 23rd, 2024, Mattoon Hitman 13U Tournament on June 21st through the 23rd, 2024, Hitman 12U Bragging Rights Tourney on June 8th through the 9th, 2024. Mattoon Invitational on May 4th through the 5th, 2024. Hitman 8U through 10U Schools Out Slam on May 17th through the 19th, 2024. Hitman Mother's Day Classic on May 11th and 12th, 2024. And the 15U, 16U Travel League between June and July 2024, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Can I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Clausen, and any comments, questions?
Yes, I have a comment. I would like to compliment the tourism board on that all of these were footed properly
Very good,
and the dollars checked.
very good. And, okay, roll call.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Commissioner Raven?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes. Department reports, starting with City Administrator Kyle Gill.
Just been working on union negotiations, preparing for, some of these agenda items. Really, just been kind of business as usual last couple weeks, but it's been busy. Things are gearing up for summer. as you can tell in the tourism grants, spring and summer is going to be very busy. And I think all those grants are projecting to have more people this year in all those events than we've had. So things are looking good. Continuing to work on sports complex stuff. A lot of that going on out there, and they're keeping us very busy. So I'll open it up for questions that you may have for me.
No questions, City Attorney Dan Jones.
Been business as usual, though, a couple continuances on the big things. We had a hearing Monday morning with Judge Bobart on Tim Quackenbush's property. And unfortunately, Tim's attorney has had some health issues, and so that hearing got continued for a month. So that hearing's in mid-June, and I'll report back as that comes. On Brown Shoe,
Is this the same attorney that had a health issue on his drive over from Decatur?
his car broke down.
His car broke down.
Okay. Same attorney?
Same attorney.
Okay.
On Brown Shoe, we had the court on May 6th. The owner of the facility was found to be in contempt. That hasn't changed. Judge originally ordered that to be heard again on our next court date, which is June 1, I think. Originally, the judge asked me to prepare the order, and then he decided he wanted to do it himself, and it just got done today, and he wants it served personally on the owner out in Kansas City. So the judge continued it on his own motion until a July court date. So it was not of our doing, but he has been ordered to appear. They haven't found in contempt of court. There's been an additional $1,400 in fines assessed. And again, the order for it to tear down remains in effect, but he wants the owner to appear in Mattoon City Court. But it's been postponed.
But the owner has stopped the demolition, right? It
As I
doesn't,
understand.
Yeah.
you drive by, it doesn't look like anything's been done for a couple of weeks. maybe.
Right. Yeah, the contractor and him got into it, and the owner got into it, and they pulled off. And
Yeah.
so we are actually seeking a demolition bid ourselves too. So we know what it's going to cost if we have to tear it down and haul it off.
Part of it did fall down though, right?
They've knocked down some of it, and then yes, some of the roof did fall in.
So falling
over the
is actually
weekend.
better than demo.
Yeah, still gonna cost a lot to clean
Maybe
up.
that's the right spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so, all right. Any,
Anything else, other questions, happy to answer.
all right, next City Clerk Susan O'Brien.
Just been collecting the mandatory training that we had to complete, processing various federal and state reports, employees' retirement paperwork, and IRF and insurance changes, to name a few.
Okay, any questions for Susan? Finance, Beth Wright.
I'll start with the April financial report. This one year. Annual budget column is as amended. And you'll see the general fund had total revenue of just under 26 million. Expenditures of 25.5 million. Leaving a surplus of 479, 473.91. The revenue are 99.37% of budget in total, and expenditures 98.03% of budget. I will, in terms of comparison to prior year, those numbers are audited, whereas the current year numbers are pretty much cash basis. And have the rules factored in yet, that comes soon. Cash position citywide, 25.8 million at the end of April versus 26.4 at the end of March. Some of the variances, we'll see the mobile equipment fund, we put money aside there when we amended the budget. And we put 30,000 towards the revolving loan fund. And we put 732,000 towards the capital improvement fund. The revenue tracking is complete, but for utility tax, compared to a year ago, we are down to 58,000 and change. The unrestricted cash in the general fund as of today, 11.4 million. 2 weeks ago, or, yeah, 2 weeks ago was 10.6. And lastly, the audit, field work will begin on June 25th. I've been preparing schedules and work papers as requested by the others.
Any questions for Beth? Okay, moving on to Public Works. Dave Park.
I'll start off with our lead service line surveys that we sent out, over 7,000 of those. I thank Kyle and every department that helped with that. We printed out 7,000, we folded them, we stuffed them in envelopes, took them to the post office. It was quite an undertaking, but it was really a huge group effort to get those out. We are already getting some of those back in. As of yesterday, I think there's somewhere between 200 and 300. They're coming in by the mail. They're dropping them in the water bill deposit out there. Some are actually going online and doing the survey that way also. So we're getting a lot of them coming in. I don't know how many came today, but like I say,
I gave my decision.
all right. So about at least 300, I know for sure that we probably have got. We also did get a grant approved for the lead service lines to help us collect data later this year. So it's a $50,000 grant that'll allow us to fill any holes that might not get out of the surveys. Kyle talked about the sports complex roadways. Our contractor Stark Excavating out of Bloomington. They got an office up in Champaign-Urbana. And their superintendent actually lives here in Coles County, so that's a good thing. They plan to start next Tuesday, the 28th. So you'll see a lot more activity out there. It's going to be a busy, busy little place. And I think the last thing we'll cover, pickleball courts are getting painted. We got stripes to go, and then they should be, and nets to go up and fence to go around it. We're getting close. That's all I got. Any questions?
Any questions?
What's the work on 17th Street?
On 17th Street, we're at on 17th.
I think what would that be? Essex and, well, I'm trying to think what area that would be. 17th Street from, the
Very south end.
Angelo's area to down in that area.
There is a group putting in fiber that my understanding was interconnecting a lot of the schools here in town. So that's.
It's fiber work. I thought that's probably what it was, but
I know we have some sidewalk work going down there too, but not quite that.
kind of interconnected a little bit. I got you. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Let's see, Jeff Hilgoss is not here, but Dave, did you have anything?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nothing this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Police Chief Sam Gaines. Who we got, Sam?
1,056 calls for service in the last 2 weeks and 56 shoots. That's all I got.
Any questions for Sam? Okay, it's a nice little wrap up there. So,
He
Arts
did
and,
wait very patiently through all the.
I know that, right, he did. Arts and Tourism, Angelia's not here, but Mindy, what do you got for us?
Well, the Arts Council is currently looking for new members, and the current priority is to rebuild the council. And we have plans to work with new round of celebrity creatives and workshops for the Mattoon School District, for the students and the community within last school year. So we'll ramp that up again this school year. The IHSA girls track competed last weekend, and tourism. We partnered with Charleston Tourism and passed out flyers for Bagel Bites, as well as promoted Bagel Fest with all of the state track teams that came in, and we'll do that again this weekend with Boys State Track. And Bagel Fest vendors are filling up very quickly. We're down to just a handful of vendor spots left. So I get calls daily and emails on that. 4th of July volunteer spots for helping with parking. I have secured the Charleston Fire Department with Julianne Sharp. They will be doing that again this year. So helping with MHS, JROTC. So, and Charleston Tourism has offered their painting robot to assist this year to help take some of the labor off of the manual setup of that. So we're looking forward for that. And also to report that Angelia met with Tyler Yoder, the new GM for Emerald Acres, and we're going to get him involved with some opportunities with local events to kind of get him out. One of the first things he'll do is June 7th at our Bagel Bites. I'm going to get a tent and a table set up for him to kind of glad hand the community and get him up there and get seen and start promoting Emerald Acres.
Good.
So, and I would like to also, with the grant proposal for the Coles County Speedway, in that proposal, just part of tourism, that speedway is the oldest dirt track in the country. And that's something we learned. And for anyone who's interested in NASCAR, we are confirmed that Kyle Busch will be in Matt Toon racing at that track on May 31st. And his son, along with Chase Briscoe, Chris Bell, and Tyler Bell. So, and probably some other NASCAR racers. So what they're doing out there is very exciting. So, so yeah, keep your eye on it.
Okay.
It's going to, their plan is to put Matt Toon on the map in the racing industry. So it's pretty exciting.
Any questions we have? We learn something every night, don't we?
Do.
I didn't realize.
How
The
first
oldest in the
Matt's-
country.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, he's working with the airport to make sure his jet can land out here. So, yeah,
Great.
I see the email. So,
Okay.
Let us know when that's coming in, would you?
Next, community development, Alex.
Well, actually, on that note, I spoke with the owner of the Coles County Speedway recently, and they're actually interested in doing some infill development as well, building homes, things like that. Really interested in the compact home concept and what top builders do as well, commercial. So, really neat connection there. But yeah, on that note, seven demolitions this month, 3 are already completed. We've got 6 more on the way, and an additional 7 repair demolishes were sent out recently. So a lot of nuisance properties getting addressed, at least the ones that we're legally able to, take action on. From there, 2 zoning violations. One of them was somebody with like ovens and fridges being repaired and sold out of a residential residence. So dealing with that, and then another one was somebody selling insulation. So they both got their letters and might be cited. From there, I was asked to bring up the concept of a potential solar farm out by the Riley Creek Treatment Facility. Basically, it's from probably one of the top 2 solar developers in the country. It's a 5 megawatt farms, kind of on a strip of farm ground. It's really just between 2 major roadways there. It's kind of hard to actually farm, I've heard. And what they're talking about is essentially paying $2 million to upgrade that substation, which is actually going to potentially have economic impacts, very positive ones, for areas in business like large pet care, things like that. So potentially help with their future expansions. They will be submitting a petition for a special use for the next planning commission meeting, which is going to be on the 11th. So, definitely keep your eyes out on that. Collaborated recently with Rhonda from Coles Together, the new executive director, based off of Rick's recommendation. So thank you. We were having some issues with Ameren trying to find contact information to knock down a blighted property, and she got us sorted there. Really just appreciate that collaboration. From there, I do slightly have a question for Dan. So this Friday, the 10 days notice, in addition to the 30 days notice that we gave to Tim Quackenbush, comes up for his personal residence needing to be cleaned. So I guess my question to you is, do we need to wait for traffic council to issue something on that to proceed with the clean lane? Or do we just go for it?
And the answer is it depends.
Okay,
I'll talk to you after we're done.
okay.
What are our options? And
Gotcha, okay. Outside of that, Cox is considering a $500,000 renovation on Charleston Avenue. And, worked on a couple of TIF agreements today. We got 3 of them coming, but the most interesting one is, for 1422 Broadway. We have a design that you'll see at the next council meeting that looks really nice. So big things coming downtown. And last thing, there is a RISE implementation grant, that is due on July 22nd. For approximately up to $2 million. And we can use that for housing because Coles together created a study through the RISE planning grants that came out last year that identified housing as one of our top needs to address workforce issues in the community. So, you're looking at over $2 million for new housing. And we're trying to connect that potentially to the Emerald Acres development because there might be a spot for so.
Any questions? A lot of things going on, needless to say. Let's see, next is reports from the commissioners, and we'll start with Commissioner Clausen.
Thank you, Mayor. An update on the Lake Mattoon paving project that has been pushed to Monday, June 3rd. Weather got in the way on that one, so Hal Asphalt is planning, weather permitting again, to start that project on June 3rd with the Auslight grant money. So they cannot, we were hoping to have it by this weekend for Memorial Day, but did not happen. Thanks, Dave, on the pickleball. A lot of people call, text every day. Going to be very happy about that. Last thing I have, Mayor, is another phone conversation today with a lady that is interested in handicapped accessible playground equipment. I kind of floated to Alex if there's any grant money out there. So we might put a little core group of us together and start looking at handicapped accessible opportunities for people using at least Peterson Park or maybe a couple of our parks.
Okay.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions? Commissioner Cox.
Just want to thank you folks for being here and the obvious time and effort you put into a very detailed presentation. I appreciate it and looks very interesting. Look forward to seeing where that takes us. So appreciate your time being here this evening. And I'd like to thank the staff for good reports, detailed reports. Like you said, Mayor, there's a lot of good things going on and very exciting time. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of development, a lot of positives going on. So,
Any questions for Commissioner Cox? Commissioner Phipps is not here. Final report is from myself.
Thanks, Creighton.
Oh, I always forget.
but this is what happens when she always just says she doesn't have anything. So,
You have anything?
No, I don't.
okay.
Okay.
Good.
All right, now it's my turn. Just real quick, I've been reviewing a housing marketing study, about a 100-page document prepared by Partner Evaluations as a draft. We're going to try to get that finalized pretty quickly. I met with Coles Together Board, which I am a member, and the new president of the Coles Together Board, Rhonda Chaget. And Legislative Committee of the Illinois Municipal League has been very active with what's going on in Springfield right now. We went up there and met with IDOT, had a good meeting with our senator from this area. And I think that's it. Any questions anybody has for me? Okay, now we've got, the last thing we have on our list is we need to go into recess. Make a motion to go into a closed session pursuant to the Illinois Open Meeting Act for the purpose of the discussion of the appointment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the city or legal counsel for the city under 5 ILCS 122C1 and collective negotiating matters between the city of Mattoon and its employees or the representatives or deliberation concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees under 5 ILCS 122C2. And Can I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, so, roll call on this.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes, and after we get back, no one really we're not taking any action after that. I'm not sure how long we're gonna be in that session. You're certainly welcome to stay and hear us adjourn, but probably you got other things to do. Well, thank you for being here.
Tell me the room's gonna be.
A little longer than I thought it was going to.
Yeah. Thank you.
Report, of course.
Tim, I was
Longer than I thought.
At this time, I'm gonna pause and mute the recording
Thank you.
until we get back from executive session.
Nice.
We're back in,
Anybody else on there?
nah, I don't think there's anybody on, but someone could FOIA and listen to it, so. Good point.
That never happens.
That never happens.
Anybody want to, I guess.
I need an adjournment.
You might want to adjourn.
That motion.
There.
Yes?
I'd make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay.
You are the second. I made it first.
Oh, you made it first?
Speak up.
You did it?
Yeah, I heard him.
Did you?
Yeah, he did that.
All right, so you want to?
I'll second the same, in the same regard. I'd second that.
All right, so let's,
Is that videotape? Will that, anybody play?
so let's,
See if you get a birthday card this year.
No. Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Cox?
What, 2-2?
Yes, I would vote yes for that.
Mayor Hall?
yes.
Burke?
We're close.
Did he actually say so? Yeah.
Can you make a motion and vote against it?